Perfect. Voice one's good to go. We're rocking and rolling. All right. So we may have a little noise. Makes it a little fun. Make some noise anyway.
Organic.
Right? Yeah. Well, production. It's the way it's supposed to go. Yeah. Here with Richie. He's the one who has the amazing technology here that we're working on right now. Years in the works. Amazing to hear his story. I'm sure we'll touch on some of that here as we go. So we're doing this in a little bit different way. We got a camera on us, looking this way, trying to play with perspective a little bit. There's a lot behind the car in that regard. So Richie has not seen yet kind of the car. We've been talking a little bit about some of the concepts and precepts. So we're going to walk through that, and then we're going to play with kind of some of the stuff that we've had, for a minute. We started chatting. You can tell Richie is lightning embodied, right? So it makes for a really fun time. And that sort of energy is what we all could kind of use in our lives, I think, right? So we'll start to do the screen share and kind of walk through it there and hear us more of the stories we go. So, obviously the last car, we'll just piece through these things quick anyway, but the last, vehicle was basis, the You Are My Sunshine, to bring kind of light into people's lives, bring family and meaning, to community. One of the things we do was back up the truck. So we go to kind of like, disenfranchised or a little bit worse off people, and we would bring them goods, and ones who had little kids with them and stuff they were taking care of. So we would we'll use and give the time and energy in the right way to do that and see how it can make a direct impact right on them. So for Christmas we did a run. For Thanksgiving we did a run. Me and my friend just we bought a bunch of turkeys and put them in the back, and then they got delivered to the people who were in the area. So it's trying to make it fun with family, friends, fun, community, and playing it that way, right? So my daughter wanted to still see some light, which we all needed to have anyway, because again, we went from dark features, Nightmare Before Christmas, with the yellow main thing to bright people's day, right post-COVID, into and during COVID, and then into this. So now we still keep the pretext and the concepts, and we go from there, right? So we're just going to rock up here in this way. Obviously you've seen the snake, how it's going to be, right? And that was, you met Boy Kong earlier, and that's kind of the fun precepts. So, again, a lot of this is on projection, which was the yellow, the reflection, which is the dark. Nothing is good or bad per se. It is just a different kind of view or a skew. The snakes can be wisdom, the snakes can be, the devil, right? Whatever you want to feel. So, like, given that, I guess we're already on this area, right? It says you make me glow in the dark, and the coincidence of coming across your guys' stuff was literally 2 days after I come in here and asked, is there a way to do glow in the dark on the car? And then that just hit, and Pablo was like, yep, we can do that. I was like, that is ridiculously cool. I saw the video. I was like already excited the minute I saw it. So to see that, like, and then see you light up because what you're doing is super inspirational to people around. That makes a difference. And boys just want to have fun too. I love Cyndi Lauper, but a little love for the guys also, right? So yeah, tell me kind of like how it started. You mentioned a little bit to me, but give people the idea, the concept, what drives you, like a car, what drives you.
First of all, it's an honor and a pleasure to work on this project with you. And this project came to me in a real intricate time of my life. And like I said, I'll get into a bit of the history before, but I just randomly saw 2 snakes in one day. And I mean, I never see that.
Yeah.
And I was like, why am I seeing 2 snakes? One after the next. I even called my wife and was like, I just saw another snake.
It gives you that feel, like, you hear stuff like that. It's amazing.
It's very cool. I mean, I have photos of it.
Yeah.
I actually took pictures because while I was
you got to share those with me too.
Yeah, I am.
Love it.
I was walking on the sidewalk, and it literally came across my path, and I literally had to stop. Somebody else was coming, and she jumped out of the way all scared, and I just stood up there admiring.
It's amazing, right?
It never happened to me before. 2 days after, Pablo called me up about this project.
It's just crazy, right? You can't make these things up.
I mean,
And that sort of coincidental whole occurrence with this car,
Yeah.
and that just is icing on the cake, right?
And then-
So
when I saw the designs, and I saw the combination of the symbols with the words, I understood right then that this was not just a regular light wrap project. This had a deeper meaning without even needing you.
Yeah.
And then we met yesterday, and here we are today, right?
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
It's
been great. You took the time or gave the time to come and hang out and fly in, for something that meant something to you and to me and everyone else who's involved with it. So I think that is super representative of what we all hopefully would like to strive to do.
And again, I appreciate, and it's an honor to even come in and work with you on this project, especially to bring this to light.
Yeah.
And with regards,
Literally brought to light.
literally brought to light.
You know?
And with regards to that, this project has been over 10 years in the making. I started off with a character, Luna. I created a superhero character
Mhm.
to sort of tell my story of darkness to light.
Yeah.
And literally, I was inspired by the moon. And I came up with this storyline of character, Luna, that comes from the moon.
And you didn't even know though that we were gonna have the moons on there that my daughter had drawn
There you
too,
go.
right? So
See?
like it all just comes together, you know, inadvertently without any pre-context or prompts. It's literally just the coolest thing.
I mean,
And I got to see that character because like, you know, even with my daughter, we want to start to like look at doing some fun little playful things. Like I got a bear named Trouble and like how he gets into trouble, but how they're just little troubles, not big troubles. And like, you know, different stories around these things are fun that can help adults and kids. Everyone can look at them differently, and that's the fun of it.
it's 100%, Chris, because what is life? I mean, what is a brand? A brand is a story.
100%.
Well, every
yeah.
brand has a story.
Yeah.
Well, most brands have a story, right?
Life is like that.
Life is a story, and well,
Light is a story too.
this is it. And everything is a story. It's just how do you put it together? And my story, the story of my story was I used that story to sort of help me through my dark
Mhm.
times.
Yeah.
So
It's a similar representation.
is.
Like, and I think we all have those moments, right? And that's a cool thing that everyone can kind of feel that, right? And if you can associate with that, then that makes everything a bit more, you know, human or human, whatever you want to go with, right? Because we're all just different sort of forms.
exactly, person. Through that evolution, I decided to create a song to tell my story.
Oh, cool. I
It's
love
called
that.
Celebrate the Call to Life. And I
Yeah.
created a video to tell the story
we
with
get-
the song, which I'll
I gotta
share
do that
with
one
you.
too. Yeah. Excellent. That's so cool.
And in the video, I did a costume that lit up with my symbol on the costume. When I put the video out, it got featured on
That's
MTV.com,
so cool.
VH1. I was an independent
Yeah.
artist. And everybody loved the costume. Well, they loved what I was wearing.
Yeah.
And they thought they could wear it.
How about the video?
Yeah,
That song.
The song.
Around.
So, because in the video, the shirt would light up.
Yeah.
So they're like, where can I get this? Where
Yeah.
can I buy it? And I realized at that point that people were into the light,
Yeah.
the actual light of what I was
Drawn
wearing.
to it. Yeah.
But that costume was not a wearable product. It was a costume. It's
Mhm.
the older technology of
Mhm.
this material. And that's what drew me to the industry.
So that prompted that.
That was a
right?
prompt.
Yeah.
And from
Which you
then,
put out there. You created your own prompts almost.
100%.
Yeah.
And then from then till now, we reached here. Who is now my business partner out in Hong Kong, saw that video
Yeah.
and him and I connected. And then
It's just,
I worked with him to evolve the tech to
Yeah.
wearable technologies.
Yeah.
Which is what made it to what it is today, where you can now use it on any application. Because if you could wear something.
Yeah.
You could put it on a car in a sense,
that's amazing.
because the human body is the ultimate test.
Yeah.
Of performance.
Yeah.
You know, safety, trust. First of all, you have to trust something to put it on, right?
Mhm.
Because your body is your sort of your sacred space.
Yes.
So once we perfected the wearable tech, which is what you saw with the shirts, the application spread.
The shirts are so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
we
we
need to
evolved
find a
that
way to
part
do
of it.
that. You know?
And now the applications have sort of, gone beyond wearables to
Mhm.
automotive, signage, advertising, branding.
Yeah.
In many different areas.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here now.
It's
It's
those
auto-
really cool changes and it's being done with people and in a lot of fun ways.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this has been a great time so far for me, and I think same for you. So it's like,
And it's a pleasure, as I said, because again, this may not be for everybody, but you definitely saw the value, which as you mentioned, values of value. And your journey connected you to this technology, maybe similar to how my journey did.
Yeah.
And that's what, this is not just about lighting and technology and advertising. This is about changing culture
inspiration
and
that's it.
inspiration.
Yeah, you got to,
You
all that
mentioned going
stuff.
into the, areas that are depressed in a sense, or. you know,
that was your cool idea.
Yeah, and then, I mean.
I
if
love
you-
that.
The dream would be to take this tech and actually, maybe do like a wall, a mural in an area that doesn't maybe have many
And
street
light
lights
up their situation.
and make them feel good, because this, as you can see, when the light is on, you like it.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good.
Well, it's like the same thing. This thing moves around consistently and you can see it and people can imagine it or it can bring some meaning to them in whatever way. Same thing in that way. It's also, again, lighting up kind of people's lives in whatever way that is, the way you call it. So yeah, just to touch on it fast because it was fun. One of the things we kind of go with is this, values or value and the discounting by, almost a discounting or a division by value. And so, I had just drawn this and not really said go with any of it, but that was kind of what I'd come up with, which is just playing with the word a little bit. It's not saying the value is bad or anything else, but that we have much more to us. and I'd asked him to go with it, and Richie knocked it out of the park with that. And that Purple Heart is perfect because it's that, blue plus red combination. And I was like, man, wow, I just learned a great lesson there.
Thank you.
In 2 seconds, he was already able to distill what my, many years took to even reconceptualize to myself, and then hopefully with others, right? It's that with others part that makes it fun and adds the extra value. And we just keep trying to touch on that, right? So, obviously here we got, the snake. He's kind of, it depends on how you view it, right? We had the coolest coincidence where you could view the snake as either taking or kind of giving, or, giving it that vibration of the light, right? And with the pulsation, which I didn't know was a thing, like I just thought it was gonna be lights up or it's off. And then he showed me the mock-ups and I was like, what the heck? This thing can do everything. And you're like, this is, a whole nother level of interestingness that people could find fascinating or be inspired by in some way, shape, or form. So that was super cool. The orb just lights up, so do the eyes. And I had expected it was going to be a, gray, slightly off of the black color. And when he sent me it, it was blue and green. I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, that is the coolest thing of all time. It looks like Earth. This is the best coincidence that I ever could have imagined. And I was just completely drawn to it, blown away, right? So,
And that's a new technology, which is the dark reveal tech, where you can take dark colors and
and the name is perfect for it. This is a dark reveal. It's
There
the
you
thing
go.
played out, right?
You see?
So, and then, so this is my mom's thing.
Oh, wow.
She done that on the front, then we
Amazing.
found randomly, my grandpa did a sketchbook.
Wow.
He gave her, which she just showed me like a couple weeks ago. And so we took this, like, he was an artist and also a doctor, and just kind of recreated that. One of his things he actually had done that was shown off was Christopher Columbus stuff. So it's kind of funny we get a pirate in there, not to
That's
say Columbus
amazing.
was a pirate, but you get the ideas, right?
I love the fact it sort of goes through.
Yeah, so my sister helped my mom to reimagine that.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So they did this stuff together almost,
That would
right?
have been
And
sick in
so
lighting too. Imagine,
Yeah.
different pieces like
Yeah.
it's going through
you're
coming
right.
out
Yeah, I didn't
with
see
the
it.
light separated.
I didn't even think about that.
That
That
would
would have
be
been a really cool thing.
be
to
another
implement, and we could still even do
future,
that one day,
yeah.
It's not out of the realm, right?
Mhm.
So then these, just side leading sun lines, which were on the yellow car, which you saw the first time
Mm-hmm.
earlier today. But though their backs are turned, they're still looking back, right?
Right.
They're not abandoning each other. The intent is to have them looking at each other so that you have it, so that there's still a connection, no matter how distant they actually are, right?
Amazing.
So it's like, you can reimagine and reinterpret it as you see fit. That's just how
I
I
love it.
saw it, right? And then, my daughter drew that, so it's gonna go on the moon roof.
Amazing.
And then this also looks like a moon as the light comes through, or a shell, or whatever you want to go with, right? So it's like we're trying to make the top have, either be up there to kind of see it, or take the drone shot, or whatever else it is. You don't always see everything about everyone or everything that's around you. We just make presumptions, right? So, my mom, as you can see over there, funny, I'd ask her to make a Shelby with like not much context. You can see over there, the super shell. She ended up doing it that. She'd never seen that before, but it was just kind of a fun little,
Wow.
Coincidence. Obviously, there's only so many shells, but she did
That's
that.
crazy. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, my one sister did this side of the this side of the car when she was in Europe. This has an M. The other side had an N for my daughter Nala when I made the little design. So you'll see it as an N and an M embedded in it. This is removed per se. And and this is my sister that I spoke to on the phone earlier today that we did the chat with.
Right.
She designed that one. So
Wow.
that ended up being a kind of like cool, fun standout piece.
That's
And like, I was like, how do you incorporate friends and family, and how does that make everyone kind of feel, or what do they imagine, and how do you relate to it? And this is where the car was just a couple days ago, and now you see where it's at now. With the graphic on there, it's like a whole damn new car.
I mean, just
it's
alone
like
with that
you
one decal,
You can kind of just see. I think if I get it all right, yeah, you can see how it's coming along and how it lights up as it goes. And so that's kind of the fun of that. And then, my wife, I kind of waited to the very end to get her to do it, but she was always going to be incorporated, and always was, because a lot of that's, stems from experiences with her, right? And so my mom and my wife are front and center, even if they don't think they are. They still are, right? And the guys can be the back of the truck part. We do
I love
help
that.
hold the Ford down. We do have a part of the vehicle. It all goes together, right?
Wow.
Where maybe different extremes, but that's kind of where we come together, like somewhere in the middle. You go together along for the ride, right?
That's amazing.
Then we have Pablo's brother. He's in the mix in here, right? With the Jordan dunking thing, because it's like, you see people who have so much talent, but then we all lose sight and
Yeah.
time of ourselves and with others. And it's like, okay, well, how do you reimagine and reinvigorate that, right? So there's just a lot of plays in here, which we can always talk about later, and not waste time on it. But this, for me, like, was one of the cool things I had with Austin and Andre was this kind of just like almost like a flash of light in my eyes. And I woke up at 4:30 in the morning and it had this F and it was like a feel, right? And it's like a function of an eel, which is like to light up and be electric, right? Like an electric eel, electric feel. And then this thing all comes together. You're like, what the heck is that? And, so it's just a lot of,
And subliminally, I kind of saw, I mean, I don't know if it's intended, but I kind of saw the word light.
oh, you're right. No,
Through
that
that
was
from-
not intended. That actually says left. And it's actually done by this artist named Sukalski.
Hmm.
There's a documentary on him called Struggle, but it's like, I actually messaged the guy yesterday who did it. And I was like, there's more like us and the struggle is not so real. And
Wow.
it doesn't have to be like
Amazing.
type thing. And it was just like, like, I'm just gonna send a message because I saw in the movie and like other interviews thereafter, is like how you could tell how he felt from the whole situation. And it was this roller coaster of emotions. And it's like, it's not to say good, bad, or otherwise, but it's like other people do care and there are different feels you can have. And, there's more we can all do together. I don't expect or want anything of or with or from the guy in that way. It's like,
Amazing.
here's this as just a note, and so, yeah, this is just playing with stuff that it's like, write what's left. And you could also put that as, write, like, write things down. This is also obviously written, but I did it in the style of the guy who was this artist, who was like this super Polish, ridiculously cool artist, right? And Boy Kong and I actually did a reimagination of his grayscale and overlaid that with color. We finger painted it.
Mhm.
It's like, I enjoy doing finger painting more than most other things because I would like to be having more fun and childish, and I do with my kids and stuff too.
That's amazing.
It's not,
And that's on the right side and the left side of the
yeah.
tab.
And so actually
So-
when Pablo was going to put it on, he's like, I was like, no, dude, because that way, because we're messing with that. And there's different ways to interpret and reimagine, write what's left. It could be with a ship, it could be with whatever else, it could be with relationships, it can be with all that stuff. And like, it's got my issues, we all do, right? So, but it's fun with that. Like, I think it's that play with perspective, and again, like we had this cool experience in Costa Rica, which was after I spoke to you when I was in New York, and we had this pit viper that we almost had an experience with, and I wasn't even gonna go on the hike. And my wife's business partner, she has a kid and she went ahead and she ran back the fastest I've ever seen anybody move. And so it was like a whole really interesting day of experiences in trying to reevaluate and reimagine and get everyone kind of on the same page in a fun way. And so, I just watched funnily John Wick the other day, and he's got 23 all over the place, which is in the one side of the car.
Wow.
And then he's got a pit viper as his gun. And I was like, oh, that's fun. Like if you start paying a little attention to some of these things, they kind of just tie into your life. And it's just,
It's amazing, Chris. And this
It's-
is, the symbolism of art goes beyond what you see. Most people could look at one thing and
Yeah.
interpret it somewhere else. And this is where your story, again, back to the story, is so meaningful because that's what actually gives the art life and gives the technology meaning.
yeah, man,
And that's a value system.
and it's fun. Like, we should all have more fun with these things. And
Correct.
and the guy who was with us on the hike, it's like, I've seen 3 of those in my whole life.
Look at that.
And you're like, well, what to do?
There you
know?
go.
So it's like, these random fun coincidences. Like, for me, it's when people are talking about, okay, you should do a write-up or talk up on that, I'm like, this was what kind of actually inspired me to think that, why don't we talk with everyone? Because we don't know, like, I didn't know some of the things that you'd mentioned there. And then you're like, cool, that just reinforces the bonds and connectedness that we actually have. And so
Amazing.
I always use this picture in this and Will, because like he made everything
Yeah.
happen and come to life.
That's the fuse. Pablo.
The fuse.
Pablo, you're the fuse.
Yeah.
We're now
You can
talking,
say hello.
he shoes up out of the talking about.
See, he does, just as we're getting to
We
you.
all agree.
So the
that you're
picture and you walk by.
And you control it.
Yeah,
He's the fuse. we say.
he's the inspiration and man that can make it all happen.
And-
It's that interplay between,
Who took that photo?
it's a good one, right? I think you look damn good.
Yeah, like, wow, who's that? Who's that Don?
It deserves to be a profile photo.
Looking
I
good.
think it does, it's on the thing, you can take it as well. We'll send you more. I got more of you, don't worry, backside, front side, whatever you want.
Pablo's the fuse. Look at that picture.
you
Nice,
know,
Chris.
so
Look at
then-
that. Imagine.
Yeah,
Imagine.
there we go. So,
Wow.
Oh,
So
that-
all that's going on. in
and
the
that's
back.
the John Lennon song too, is Imagine, right? And then there's a
Imagine.
reinterpretation of that,
Wow.
how do you call it? Perfect Circle does, which is really cool also, because Perfect Circle has Tool and Perfect Circle and Pucifer, and I kind of actually use those as prompts.
Right.
Because the stuff that they do is so fascinating and done so differently. And it's a little esoteric, but it has so much underlying meaning that pulls it out, right? And one of the songs is like, I am the Weaver. And like you
Right.
don't even realize that it's there, and then you start listening and paying attention to it and and looking at the words like, whoa, what the heck is that? And it does fit together, and it does bond. You're like, okay, I can't.
And that's sort of similar to your last name too.
Which is what it is and where it came from. So
Very good.
that's why I've kind of like redone the naming of a few things, because that is the personality. That's what me
Wow.
and my family and people like you and others around us all do. We all do that though. Everyone weaves their own story of what they are, who's around them, what's their environment,
That's
right?
true.
And
Amazing.
it's like we are all weavers. It's not one
It's
person
true.
who's not creating their own narrative and story about themselves, the people around them, or otherwise. And
And you see, it all ties back to the story and the value
Yeah.
and the love, because at heart, it's sort of what is value without love? Because values can be different, right? Different
Mhm.
values,
and
different
that's why
value
it's cool though.
systems.
Yeah.
But I think most of the world, even though they don't know it and they may not want to admit it,
Mhm.
but I think love drives most of the world. Even
Yeah.
what you
Even
may
if you don't
think
want to call it that or otherwise,
yeah,
you know.
because it derives from that, even if it turns to hate.
Well,
At some point, it was love.
I was discussing this with the guys earlier today, and it's just one of the things that I always like find as fanciful, but it's like this discounting of even that love thing. It's like, when you do a like on social media, you're pushing a heart and love button, and then it makes it like that's nothing.
You
And
realize.
like, and then, people then thrive or predicate on that. And it's like, okay, well, that's
Sure.
not like really deriving that value. It kind of bastardizes the concept of love and the heart, right? And it's like
But
a like and
sort of a
an
variable.
obligation. Yeah.
So the value system, I mean, so like, I guess the importance of that becomes more part of an algorithm versus the intricate
Yeah,
meaning, because that press of that button is going to boost that particular video in a particular way.
yeah.
And-
It discounts the actual.
It becomes more of a calculation versus
Yeah, instead of saying,
symbolic.
oh, I had my closest family and friends that I care that
I'd
actually
love-
like that,
you know.
and then that gives you a better magnitude
That's what I
stuff.
mean.
Or you can orient that you're receiving, say, I want to put you in my top 20 persons, and then,
Correct.
I know that you're going to see my thing, and it's not buried within whatever this junk is, and it's like, there's so many better ways to do it for, people to actually have a better quality connection. Connection is useless if it's no quality there,
So
right?
Chris, it's why, like, with this technology, it brings real experiences. I don't know if you notice, you've seen pictures and videos,
I'm experiencing it right now.
but
Only in a good way.
let me
Yeah,
ask you,
yeah.
your real experience with this versus what you saw on the camera. Completely different. no?
Oh yeah, it's a whole different beast. You see it, it lights you up, right? What you see it on there, you're like, that's super cool.
Mhm.
But you see it in person, and then you start to also then, like, to me at least, because it's also stuff that we've all been working on. It lights up and reminds you of all the little pieces in there. So the cool thing is, if it's nighttime, and I actually kind of like that you guys decided that, now you guys didn't decide, but that you guys also know way better than me on this stuff with anything electrical, right? That it makes sense to keep it on, and that it's not, the drain isn't bad on the battery, because now actually, like, reminiscing on it again, reinterpreting this, reimagining it, from 1 second to the next, which is what we're doing. I can see, and anyone can see, the stuff and graphics around it light up. And I can always just be like, cool, that's my sister's thing there that's lit up by this. It doesn't have to be that direct light on, and it has this other little random skew, and it will be, as it pulsates, you'll get a different view from, whatever it is. So it's like,
Exactly.
there's just so much fun you can have with this stuff. And again, just playing with things and with people, is what we should kind of be doing more of. And I think a lot of us lost sight of that. I know I haven't done. So, like, try
Yeah,
to
that's life,
get back to it,
life.
right? Yeah. But you
I
get the agogi, you come back out, right?
That's it.
So
And that's why you sort of, you said it, you grow in the dark, and most things, like,
Yeah.
you need those moments that come through.
you've had them, I've had them, we've all had them, right?
And
But people don't talk about them enough,
Because I think, the fear about speaking about it is what's also crippled society,
Yeah.
in that people are afraid to mention their weakness moments, because they feel like it makes them weaker, but it's actually made you stronger. And the people who've been able to use those weak moments and become stronger, the ones who are able to talk about it,
Yeah.
are the ones that actually reach.
Truthfulness
they're
with self
peaks.
and with others, right?
Yeah, because they're confident enough to say, I
Yeah.
went through this, came out, this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is a better version of me. I'm not ashamed of who I was, and I was, because of who I am today is who I was before. And I think more people need to accept that. I think put less pressure on people that, oh, can't mess this up.
Yeah.
People feel like, they only have one
Well-
chance, and I don't think that's
Well,
the
it's
case.
pretty fun. I wouldn't normally go into this one, but I had an old boss, and I kind of mess with things and stuff to see how people respond sometimes, but he did it in a very intelligible, smart way, which was very good. He, super switched on from the UK, and he went and showed people two resumes, right?
Mm.
Two different people like, okay, well, which one would you hire? Right? It's like this guy drinks, he, got a DUI, or I'm just making up things. It's not his situation,
Yeah.
right? This guy, he made $10 million in a year. He rebuilt this whole business. He did whatever else. He's like, they're like, oh, which one would you pick? Oh, of course I'm gonna pick that one. He's like, what if I told you the same person?
Look at that.
He's
Wow.
like,
That's amazing.
I once submitted a resume to one of these guys. I was like, well, here's what the actual overall scene was, not this tailored nonsense, but it's like, this is what drives me. This is how it is. This is how, what I actually took away from the experience. It wasn't, oh, I did this, this, and this. It's like, oh, this is what I learned. Like, that's what we should be learning. How do we learn together? How do we then take those weaknesses and make them into strengths, or, reimagine stuff? Like, why are we not able to reimagine or imagine it's the same thing, everything? It makes it a much more fun place. This is a me into we, effectively. My daughter drew that
Beautiful.
inadvertently. I just asked her to do a we, and she turned it from a me into a we, right?
Wow.
So that flow is in there, and she did a rainbow rose with Boy Kong. This is Boy Kong's actual rabbits. I haven't showed him yet this. He's around, so I'm gonna try to hide that. But I kind of went and mocked up his stuff. He told me I could use, because he was on High Fructose magazine. He was the front cover for that. And it was the rabbit looking at the moon. So again, this stuff all just comes in a fun way here with the moon, and
Look at that. That's crazy.
and so then we got Pablo is his kid has done
Yeah,
a lot with
Joker.
Joker, right? And then we had
That's right
some,
there.
my dad has a coral snake thing, so he's on the back with that. His daughter drew that for him. Here's the Weaver, which comes from Van Gogh.
Look at that.
And I didn't know if he was big on self-portraits. Boy taught me that, and then I went and made like 30 self-portraits in a couple days. I was
Wow.
like, I don't, it's not my style, not my thing, but like it was a good like self-discovery of how you could perceive and portray yourself.
Oh.
And I mean, it looks a little bit crazy, but we could go there, and then this is for the company kind of logo. Austin and Andre, which you met, and myself, we all kind of did different portions of this and combined it into it, right? And you can look at almost as like, a Buddha or a Godhead or whatever else you want to go with in some ways. And then there's miscellaneous ones we couldn't fit on the top of the car, which you'll see in a second. But like I got a Zoe in here, I got yellow, I like yellow, follow the yellow brick road is one of those things, I
Wow.
enjoy. So I kind of took my buddy's name Zoe and flipped it into Oz as well, right? So you have kind of
Smart.
those plays in there, and it plays into the golden ticket thing on the side. And this is just, I spent 8 hours effectively taking
Wow.
prompts of what from people from with me. I was around, and so they were part of the experience. And I told them that later on, like a week or two later, they didn't know that I was sitting there. And my wife's always like, "Why are you taking notes?" Well, I mean, this is kind of some of the stuff
That's
I do.
amazing.
And then I spent the next day. It was a total of like 23 hours, whatever
Wow.
spent, and I drew 240 odd images, right?
Wow. So you
Um,
drew these. images.
Yeah, within like a day period.
Wow.
And then we decided to make it into that canvas on top, so you have to see from the aerial view with the drone, it will reflect.
Which is
back
what
up.
that is.
That's what that is.
That's sick.
So it was like, I didn't plan on having anything on the car or the truck. And I was like, you know what? Why not mess with it? Like, no one's gonna see it. I can't get in too much trouble for what I do sometimes,
That's amazing.
and it's like, it's like, this is just another way to reimagine what you can do as people. It's not that it's me. Anybody can say, cool, I'm gonna take 5 hours or an hour and do a prompts, right? And when I did my first little write-up or review on this stuff about the truck, I did what was it, 50 odd minute walk, right?
Wow.
And I just took notes as I was walking on the beach. And I made 5 pages of notes, apparently. I took the first page of those, which were the most relevant things that stood out to me from the car and creation of that. And then I incorporated that in the video ed part, because I was like, well, then
amazing.
at least you get an idea as to how I see it, and anyone else can see it differently. But that then discussion as to what the heck you see, whether you say it's, good, bad, or otherwise, I mean, I don't view it as a good or bad thing in any of this stuff, right? And people can take that perspective or prerogative, but then that does not allow them to grow or have any reflection of themselves. That non-neutral, not, you don't even be neutral, but like, then you're not even learning something
Yeah,
on anything. So
exactly.
how do you do that? It's like, okay, well, throw it out there. It's not gonna hurt anyone. The intent is to help people. And if I can do that much with good people like yourself, then we did something great.
Chris,
It-
So like I said, it's an honor, and I'm so excited to see this finished product. I mean, really excited of everything coming together and forming one sort of, like you said, art piece. That is going to have to, in a sense, be decoded, and it's going to be
That's the fun of it,
interpreted so
right?
many different
Yeah.
ways. And I just,
And like, look how you even did that with the thing that said left, and you see light.
I saw light, yeah.
That's the thing. We
So
are what we see, and
interpretation.
we are what we seek. It's these plays that are on that front and the red. And
Yeah.
that red is that like snake's tongue. It is us spewing our ourselves out there if we
It's
so choose, right?
amazing present. I think, beyond just the tech and the design, I think you also embody this piece of art. And you yourself will represent this as you go out there. That's what I
That's
think
the
when
cool
you go
part is
out
that at
there.
least I can like, and it's not me, it's you. You have similar tie-in experiences. We all literally could be like, I can kind of understand it, even if it's one little piece, or I can easily can convey this stuff because it is just self. I'm not having to lie about anything. I'm not trying to whatever else. I'm comfortable enough with myself to where I couldn't have done that a year and a half ago, even, right? Like I did a bad job, like I said, in recoiling, if you want to go with the snakeism, right? In recoiling when people started to, reach out and whatever else, whether that was in a good, bad, or other way, or whether the reaction was bad or thought it was for, selfish or malcontent reasons. And that was by no means the case. It was always to try to help out others and bring a little sunshine. Because we all could use some of that, and shit, we could all use some darkness too. So
Love it, Chris.
thank you for taking the time. Glad we got
Thank
to
you
do that,
for- Giving me the time, man. This is so exciting, and I can't wait to light up the futures as we
Fantastic.
continue to
Yeah,
grow.
this is great. I'm glad to be part of this, and happy to bounce ideas always. And
Thank you,
hopefully the same from your side.
Definitely.
Just here for each other. This has been a good bonding experience.
This
So,
is it,
love
man.
it.
We can actually hold the light each side here, you and I.
Aha, that's fun. Light it up.
Light it up.
There we go.
like
Boom.
this.
And that's a why. So we have a why and a why not, which I
Yes.
also use all the time because my wife says why not, right? And so, is it actually lighting up now? Let's do it again. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get the why and the why not. It's still a why. Here we go. Boom. That's fun. Play with it that way, right?
Cool. Love it.
So
Chris.
reimagine it. All right.
It's amazing.
Good stuff.
Great stuff, man. How was that, Rubio? Good.